Spider Noir, starring Nicolas Cage, Lee Jun Lee, Brandon Gleeson. I'm going to get some of these names wrong. Lamonro Morris. I know that's wrong. Karen Rodriguez, Abraham Papola, and Jack Ribishaw. I'm sure that's wrong. They play the main characters of the Spider-Man universe. Some of the main characters. Ben Reilly is a character that's been around for a really long time. He was a clone created by a guy named the Jackal that fought Peter Parker, and they fought. One of them ended up unalived. Another clone just said, hey man, I'm just gonna change my name to Ben Reilly and move out of the city because it can't be two Peter Parkers walking around named Peter Parker, and he left. But the name Ben Reilly has been used a few times, and now it's being used as Spider Noir's name. Gleason plays Silvermane, who I'm pretty sure is an Italian in the comics, but he's an Irishman here. He's from the Spider-Man and Daredevil comic books. He's a mob boss. Houston plays Flint Marko, the Sandman. Other characters that they have, Tombstone is introduced. The Molten Man is introduced at the very beginning of the show. Electro, I think they called him Megawatt, but it's Electro. Lee Jung Lee plays Felicity Hardy, who is the Black Cat. She's in this, but she doesn't have Black Cat powers. She's not a jewel thief. A couple of things, they changed a couple of things. It's a different universe, so a lot of things could be changed and it really wouldn't matter. It's a different universe. The Sandman's powers are not quite as diverse as they are in the comic books or in the other movies. Pretty much he just makes his fist really big, and well, not even really big, like maybe 50% larger, and they turn gray, which, makes you think, oh, it's hardened sand, it's like concrete. Something like that. His arms don't even like really stretch or anything like that. Again, Felicity Hardy doesn't have superpowers. Nicolas Cage, in the entire 8 shows, he's only dressed as the Spider, or the Spider only makes an appearance for maybe an hour on the entire series. I think they were cutting corners. You know what I mean? They were cutting the corners because they were like, you know what, if we spend a lot of money, maybe we can't get these big names. Maybe they don't want to take a chance at this, hitting TV, so cut some corners. And the corners that they cut looked to be special effects, not a lot of special effects. I mean, they filmed it in color and they filmed it in black and white. I mean, that's a thing. But to be honest, I could take this and do it in color and then in black and white. It won't cost me nothing. But this was an interesting take on Spider Noir. The Spider is what they're calling him. It's supposed to be during the Roaring 30s, and in the comic book and in the cartoon, Spider Noir has a weird speech pattern, and he's quirky. He's quirky. They explain that in the show when Ben Reilly gets turned into Spider-Man. And all of the origins have changed too. When he gets changed into Spider-Man, the arachnid part of his brain tries to take over. So he's constantly fighting it. So he's like, he keeps doing this, which is weird, but it's Nicolas Cage. It's on point for Nicolas Cage, and honestly, it's kind of on point for Spider Noir. He's a quirky guy. So the spider's trying to take over his brain, and he's fighting it. But he's fighting it where people can see it, and they don't know what he's doing exactly. He says initially when it tried to take over his brain, he lost a lot of his humanity, and he had to relearn it, reteach himself how to walk and act like a human, because he's like half spider now, and he had to learn how to speak like a human. So he went to a lot of movies, and he was watching like James Cagney movies and, different stuff like that. So that's why he's like, yeah, see, you gotta find the diamonds, see? He talks like that because he's mimicking what he saw in the movies to try to be more human. To me, I get the feeling that maybe he's not quite as human as he would like people to think he is. Because, he has to pretend to be more human. So, and I think that came a little bit from Nicolas Cage, because he's an executive producer on this. And he wanted to make, like Superman Lives, he wanted to do that in kind of a zany, Superman's a little bit of a goofball type thing. I don't think I would have enjoyed that. But here, it fits. When Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, it fits. Because Ryan Reynolds' personality fits with Deadpool's personality. It fits perfect. Samuel L. Jackson, they literally created a version of Nick Fury that looked and acted like Samuel L. Jackson. And then when they made the movie, they were like, Samuel L. Jackson's got to play the part, and they put him in there. They fit perfectly. A lot of characters like that. And here, Nicolas Cage, his zany, odd character, fits with the characteristics of Ben Reilly, this version. So, that's that. It fits. It's perfect. It's zany. It's a little off, but it's perfect. Silvermane wants to take over the city, and he explains that he's got all of the money. He's got pretty much all of the power. Everybody is scared of him, but he's fighting for the city, he says, just for the fight. Growing up, he's always fought, so he just continues to fight. Not because he needs the money, not because there's a real threat to him. He just likes to fight. So he fights, man. And in order to keep the power, and in order to try to gain more power, and definitely to continue the fight, he's got to get muscle. He starts out with the Sandman, and the Sandman's like, hey, I got a friend. I got a buddy. Introduces him to Tombstone. And Silverman gets the idea, man, there's probably more of you guys like that out of there. So let's look. And they find Megawatt, who is actually Electro. They find him. And Electro, this version of him is apparently insane. He keeps quoting movies. Ben Reilly is talking as if he's a movie character. Electro speaks in quotes from movies. He knocks on the door, and they say, who is it? And he goes, 3 little piggies. And you open the door, I'll huff and puff. And he talks like that through the whole thing. So I'm pretty sure that dude's insane. And giving him super electric powers just gave power to a crazy person. So they get these guys together, and they're on a mission to find more superpowered people. And Ben Reilly is trying to stop him. He doesn't really want to get involved because he recently lost the love of his life. He has a drinking problem, and he is unable to overcome it. So it cost him the love of his life, and that was sad. So now he's got a secretary, Janet, and he's got Robbie Robinson, who in the comics is friends with Lonnie, Tombstone, and they have a weird friendship. Here, they become friends, and I want to say they got a weird friendship, but it's just not a lot of friendship. They're friends, friendly with one another, and that was kind of cool. But it took me back to when the X-Men and the movie where they had the cure for the mutant disease, and if you took the cure, you'd no longer be a mutant. They come up with a cure for the superhero disease. And it looks like all the superpowered people got their power probably at the exact same time, or roughly the exact same time, during some forced experiments. And the Spider, Tombstone, all of them, Electro, Molten Man, all of them got their powers from a particular experiment. So all of these dudes knew each other in a previous life. I kind of like that, because again, they were probably cutting corners. They were like, all right, we got to do an origin story for everybody, give everybody the exact same origin story. And, it's a TV show, man. They got to cut corners. They don't have the budget that they have for these $150 million movies, $200 million movies, and what have you. They probably had, $35 and a bunch of bus passes or something like that. But it works. Nicolas Cage is an executive producer here, and you can see his influence in the movie. He does a lot of Nicolas Cage kind of things. And I think about when he was Ghost Rider, and he was looking in the mirror and was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, what, are you trying to scare the Ghost Rider out of you? You are the Ghost Rider. It didn't make sense to me that he was doing that, but it was a Nicolas Cage kind of a thing to do. He does similar things in this movie that you look at and you go, but it's Nicolas Cage. So he does certain things. It was good. There weren't a lot of fight scenes in this, but the ones that came around were good. Some of the best times that I had watching this was when the Spider showed up. He didn't display his powers a lot, and it seemed like, because the movie starts with him having a 5-year layoff, and it seems like he should have been out there practicing or something first, because he did not look good. He's probably the weakest of all the Spider-Man variants. And I saw a Spider-Man variant that was a kitty cat in the cartoon. And Spider Noir is probably the weakest one. Because, wow. But it was good. The show was good, though. Because Spider Noir didn't have full Spider-Man-esque powers. He even got the spider sense, and he didn't know what it meant. Even though, he'd be twisting a lock, and then the spider sense would hit him in the back. He said it was like a migraine. He was getting these migraines, and he didn't know exactly what it was. Which makes me think that there's going to be another season where they can, take a look into that. He can increase his powers. He can learn to use them better. His spider web fluid comes right out of his hand, right out of his wrist. And much like the Spider-Man movie, his emotional state changes if he can use his spider webs or not. Also, I guess he was thirsty and he needed a drink. He had a drink, and then all of a sudden he could use his powers again. I don't know exactly how they work, but that's what appeared to be happening. It was a good show. It was a good show. The middle was a little slow. The beginning had a lot of action. The end had more. But I enjoyed it. And I think that there's going to be another season. But I would give Spider Noir 7 bags of popcorn. 7 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you had a chance to look at the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.